press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello students, this is your biology class. Well, I am Anuradha. In the whole of your PU education, you will study biology under 10 units. 5 units you will study in first PUC and remaining 5 units you will study in second PUC. So, I am taking the units from first PUC right now, and firstly we will start with the first unit. In the first unit, I am taking the fourth chapter. Well, the name of the first unit is Diversity of living world. Diversity of living world. So, in this unit, diversity means varieties of living world. Living world refers to all living organisms on this planet Earth. So, diversity of living world means the varieties of living organisms on this earth. There are plants, there are fungi, there are bacteria, there are viruses, there are plants, there are animals. Like this, there are a variety of organisms, hence the name diversity of living world. In this unit, it is divided into 4 chapters. The first one is the living world. So, you will be studying how all living organisms present on this planet Earth is divided into different kingdoms. So, and what are the characteristic features of living organisms, right? So, the first chapter, the living world, the second is biological classification. Since there is a vast diversity of living organisms, it is very difficult to study them in a systematic way. So, to study, if we want to study it in a systematic way, first we have to put it in a, arrange it properly and then start studying. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to start, where to start from, whether to start from animals or plants or from viruses or from bacteria, like this. So, there is a need of classification of these living organisms, and how it is classified, you have studied in biological classification. So, all the living organisms have been broadly classified into 5 kingdoms, that is kingdom Monera, the kingdom Protista, the kingdom Mycota or fungi, the kingdom Plantae and the kingdom Animalia or animal kingdom. So, all organisms have been classified into 5 kingdoms, and I am taking the 4th chapter, that is animal kingdom. So, your 3rd chapter is plant kingdom. I am taking the 4th chapter, that is animal kingdom. Animal kingdom. So, you are quite aware of so many animals. We see so many animals in and around us. Cow, buffalo, sheep, goat. We have seen fishes, birds, snakes. So many animals we have seen. Now the question is, how to arrange these animals in a systematic way and where to start our study from, right? I hope you understand. Whether to start from ants or to start from blue whales, or we should study about ourselves first, or any other living organisms like fishes or birds, where to start our study from. So, before we start, we need to classify it properly or to arrange it in a systematic way. A scientific systematic arrangement of all animals have to be done, and which you call it as classification. So, the classification of animals is very, very important. So, you have already studied in biological classification how organisms are classified in the level of, in the hierarchy, right? Linnean hierarchy you have studied. So, all organisms have been put under 5 important kingdoms, and each kingdom is further divided into division or phyla, and each phylum is further divided into classes. Each class are further divided into order, each order divided into family, each family further divided into genus finally into species. So, there is a very systematic classification, and now these animals also need to be classified because they are huge number of animals. There are a huge number of animals in and around us. There is a need to classify them. So, how to classify them? On what basis can we classify these organisms? So, in this chapter what we are going to study is, we are going to study the basis of classification of living organisms. We are going to study the basis of classification of living organisms, and secondly we are going to study all the various phyla which have been divided under kingdom Animalia. So, all phyla with their salient features and examples. To start with, before I start this chapter, I would like to tell all my students that every day you will be exposed to a huge number of biological terms. So, see that you will note down what all I write on the board and go through it after the classes when you are free, and see that when you are going through the text you will underline all the terminologies and definitions so that it will be helpful for your studies. And my classes will include all the concepts related to both your competitive exams and also your board exams. So, it will be an elaborative class. You may feel it a little bit fast also. So, try to cover, because biology is quite voluminous in this year and every day you will be exposed to huge number of terminologies, right. So, note it down, write the definition or write the meaning of it also, so that it will be helpful in your future classes. So, to start with, we are studying basis of classification of animal kingdom. Basis of classification. So, before going to the basis of classification, I would like to tell whole of animal kingdom has been classified into 12 important phyla. So, you know that kingdom has been classified into phylum, and let me list out all the 12 phyla so that when I give the examples you will be quite aware of the words because it will be there. Okay. First let me list out all the 12 phylas. It is number them. 1, it is protozoa. 2 is porifera. 3 is coelenterata. 4th is ctenophora. 5th is platyhelminthes. 6th is Acylomates. 7th is Annelida. 8th is Arthropoda. 9th is mollusca. 10th is Echinodermata. 11th is Hemichordata. And 12th is Chordata. Yeah, animal kingdom has been broadly classified under 12 phyla, is divided into 12 phyla. Phylum Protozoa. Phyla is plural and phylum is singular. It is singular, phyla is plural. Know it. Phyla is plural and phylum is singular. So, whole of animal kingdom has been divided into 12 phyla. First one Protozoa, Porifera, Coelenterata, Ctenophora, Platyhelminthes, also it is called as flatworms, Acylomates, also it is called as roundworms, or it is also called as Nemathelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata. So, 12 important phyla under kingdom animal. So, all these 12 we are going to study, not the 12 living of protozoa, because you have already studied protozoa in kingdom Protista. So, leaving that we will study from Porifera to Chordata in detail. That is whole of this chapter. First we will study the basis of classification and then we will go to the phyla, phylum. Each phylum we are going to study along with its specific characteristics, special characteristics and certain examples, right. So, that will be this chapter, whole of this chapter. Now, on what basis this animal kingdom has been classified? Why there is a need of classification? Question 1 is why there is a need of classification. Second is on what basis this sort of classification has been done. See, there are huge varieties of animals, as I have already told you. Birds, fishes, human beings, blue whales, elephants, camels, so many animals are there. Where should we start our study from? Whether we should study ants first or elephants first, this is the question. First, let us arrange them properly so that we can study it in a very systematic way. See, to give an example, now because you have joined to first PUC, along with your parents you might have bought all the things which you need for your studies. All the stationeries like pen, pencil, scale, rubbers, all the notebooks, textbooks, study materials for NEET, CET, all this. Now you don't know what to do with all this. First what do? You will first neatly arrange it properly. So, all stationeries in one rack, all textbooks in one rack, all notebooks in another rack, all study materials for NEET and CET in another rack. Like this you will systematically arrange it. So, here also we are doing the same thing. We are arranging organisms in a systematic way. On what basis? There are certain characteristics on which the organisms have been classified in animal kingdom. And what are those characteristics? So, on what characteristics this sort of classification has been done, and what are those characteristics which we are going to study in the future when we study the various phyla, right. So, let us first list out all the characters on which the animal kingdom has been classified, then we will go to the detailed study of each and every character, right. So, let us list the characteristics on which the classification is based on. The first one is body organization. Body organization, or it is also called as cellular organization of the body. The second one is based on their digestive system. Third, based on their circulatory system. Fourth, based on their symmetry. Fifth, based on their germ layers. Sixth, based on the presence and absence of the body cavity. Seventh, based on segmentation of the body. Segmentation of the body. Eighth, presence and absence of notochord, presence and absence of notochord. Ninth, based on their habitat. 11th, based on their body temperature. And finally, the 12th one, based on their body development. Based on their development. So, these are the ones which I am going to discuss to understand animal kingdom and why it is classified into 12 different phyla, right? So, body organization, digestive system, circulatory system, the symmetry, the germ layers, body cavity, segmentation, notochord, habitat, body temperature and development. So, these are the various characteristics on which the animal kingdom has been classified. So, we will go in detail with each of the characteristics, right? Okay. So, the first one is body organization. Body organization, the cellular organization in the body, it is also called as cellular organization in the body. Now, coming to you might be knowing the hierarchy of organization. The basic fundamental unit of an organism is the cell. I hope everybody know the basic fundamental unit of an organism is the cell, or it is the structural and functional unit of an organism, you call it as. So, this cell, based on the cells, the body is organized. So, here we see so many organisms. There are unicellular organisms and there are also multicellular organisms. So, unicellular organisms also called as acellular. So, the body organization, before going to that, group of cells makes up a tissue. Group of cells makes up a tissue. Group of tissues makes up a organ. Many organs put together with a common function, you call it as organ systems. And many organ systems put together makes up an organism. Organism. So, this is what we are going to study now, how the body of an organism is organized, whether it is just made up of cells or whether it is made up of both cells and tissues, or tissues, cells, tissues, organs, cells, tissues, organs, organ systems. Like this, organisms have been classified like cellular grade of organization, tissue grade of organization, organ grade of organization, organ systems. Like this, they have been classified based on the body organization. So, when you look into the how organisms are classified based on body organization, they are classified into two. That is acellular, and multicellular. In multicellular, they are of tissue grade of organization or organ grade of organization or organ system type of organization can be seen, and all these they are called as metazoans, and these are called as protozoans. They are called as protozoans. They are acellular, or they are also referred as protoplasmic level of organization. Protoplasmic level of organization it is referred as protoplasmic level of organization. Here it is referred as tissue level or organ system level of organization is seen in case of metazoans. So this is about based on the body organization. We will go for the further classification. So based on body organization, they have been classified into protozoans and metazoans. For protozoa, you will study only the phylum Protozoa, and for metazoans, you will study all the other phyla starting from Porifera to Chordata. Starting from Porifera to Chordata will come under metazoa. Okay, the second one is, so we have finished the first one, cellular body organization, right? The second one is classification based on digestive system. Classification of animals based on digestive system. So, in organisms we find two different types of digestive systems. One is called as incomplete digestive system. Incomplete digestive system, and the other is called as complete digestive system. Incomplete digestive system and complete digestive system. In incomplete digestive system, the organism has got a single opening in its digestive system. Single opening, that is, it contains only mouth and no anus. There is a single opening, there is only mouth but no anus, which you call it as incomplete digestive system. In case of complete digestive system, organisms have two openings in their digestive system. One is the mouth and the other is the anus. Here in case of incomplete digestive system, the organisms will have a single opening which will serve both as mouth and also as anus. That is, they will function both for ingestion of food and also for the egestion of the undigested waste. So therefore, it is called as incomplete digestive system, and it is also called as, it is also referred as blind sac plan. Blind sac body plan it is called as. Blind sac body plan it is also referred as. So in complete digestive system there are two openings, mouth for ingestion and anus for egestion. This is called as tube within tube plan. Tube within tube body plan it is called as. Tube within tube body plan it is called as. So it is referred as, it is called as complete digestive system. Two openings in their body. So where are these organisms? Which are those organisms which exhibit incomplete digestive system? Particularly the sponges and coelentrates. Coelentrates. Sponges and coelentrates, they exhibit blind sac body plan or the incomplete digestive system. So complete digestive system starting from platyhelminthes to chordates, they exhibit complete digestive system. They exhibit complete digestive system. So based on the digestive system, organisms may exhibit incomplete digestive system or complete digestive system. So while explaining the phyla, while telling the salient features of the phyla, if I tell it is incomplete digestive system, it is understood that the organisms will possess only a single opening in their digestive system, that is, they will have only a mouth and anus is totally absent. So these terminologies, thereby they are very significant to understand the salient features of these phyla. Okay, so the first, the incomplete digestive system, also called as blind sac body plan, referred as, and it examples are sponges and sealant traits. For complete, there are two openings, the mouth and the anus, and the examples starting from platyhelminthes to chordates. All organisms exhibit complete digestive system, and it is also referred as tube within tube plan. Yeah. So, next is circulatory system. Circulatory system. Organisms or animals exhibit two types of circulatory system. So, one is called as the open type of circulatory system and the other is called as closed type of circulatory system. One is called as the open type of circulatory system and the other is called as the closed type of circulatory system. So, in open type of circulatory system, what happens is the heart pumps the blood and the blood flows in between the spaces of the tissues. In between the tissues, there are spaces and the blood flows in those spaces, hence it is called as, and the blood will not flow in the blood vessels, hence they are called as open type of circulatory system. Hence it is called as open type. So, blood flows between the tissues, spaces between the tissues, spaces between the tissues. Blood flows between the spaces between the tissues. That is open type. Where do we find? So, in arthropoda, we find this type of circulatory system in case of arthropodans, molluscans and also in echinoderms. So, organisms belonging to these three phyla, that is arthropoda, mollusca and echinodermata, will exhibit open type of circulatory system. Here in echinodermata, yes, echinodermata, all organisms exhibit open type of circulatory system. Next is closed type of circulatory system. Here, the blood is pumped by the heart and the blood flows in the blood vessels. Blood flows in the blood vessels, that is the capillaries. So, here this type of circulatory system is referred as closed type and the examples are Annelida, chordates, annelids and chordates, both of them they exhibit closed type of circulatory system. That means we also will exhibit the closed type of circulatory system. We also exhibit closed type of circulatory system because we also come under chordates. So, based on circulatory system, the organisms, animals are classified into open type and closed type. That is the third basis of classification. Next is based on their symmetry. Based on their symmetry. Based on their symmetry, animals have been classified. Animals have been classified into three types based on their symmetry. One is called as asymmetry. Second is radial symmetry. And the third is bilateral symmetry. Asymmetry, radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry. Asymmetry. A stands for absence of any symmetry because the organisms are irregular in shape. Since the organisms are irregular in shape, they do not exhibit any symmetry. In radial symmetry, organisms, if they are cut through the central axis, if the organisms are cut through the central axis, they divide into two equal parts, or they divide into two identical parts. So, such organisms, when they are cut in any plane passing through the center, and if they give two identical halves, so that sort of symmetry is referred as radial symmetry. So, radial symmetry, when you cut through a plane passing through the central axis, when the organism is cut in any plane passing through the central axis, it should give two identical halves. The plane should pass through the center. Then if it gives two identical halves, then it is called as radial symmetry. The organism exhibits radial symmetry, we can tell. So, the example for asymmetry is sponges or poriferans. Second is radial symmetry. It is when an organism is cut in any plane passing through the center, if it gives two identical halves, then the organisms are said to exhibit radial symmetry. So, examples are coelentrates, that is organisms coming under phylum Coelenterata and organisms coming under the phylum Ctenophora. All of them exhibit radial symmetry, and also adult echinoderms, not the larvae. Adult echinoderms will also exhibit radial symmetry. Next is bilateral symmetry. When an organism is cut in any one plane and it usually gives two identical halves, then you call it as bilateral symmetry. For example, human beings, if we are cut from top to bottom in the center, it gives two identical halves. So, if it is cut in the center longitudinally, it gives two identical halves. Only in one plane it is cut, it gives two identical halves. You can't cut it in any plane. And only in the one plane, in the center, if you cut longitudinally, it gives two identical halves, and such type of symmetry is called as bilateral symmetry. So, in this case, the organisms usually they will have paired organs in their body. Organs are paired, and hence if you cut them from top to bottom, they exhibit bilateral symmetry. You might have come across in mythology, there is some concept called as Ardhanarishwara. Half Ishvara and half Parvati combined together. You call that as Ardhanarishwara. And that concept is something which holds good with this phenomenon, that is bilateral symmetry. Because human beings have a bilateral symmetry, you can draw a figure of Shiva and Parvati in that way, whatever it is. So, half Shiva and half Parvati comes, you call it as Ardhanarishwara, and which is because of this phenomenon called as the bilateral symmetry. So, where the organism is cut in only in one plane, passing through the center, only in one plane, it gives two identical halves. Halves is half, two halves make halves, right? Two identical halves, two half and half makes halves. I hope you understand. So, based on the symmetry, organisms have been classified into asymmetrical, radial symmetry and bilaterally symmetrical. Radially symmetrical and bilaterally symmetrical we tell when you refer to an individual organism. Here, based on the symmetry, it is asymmetry, radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry. So, asymmetry exhibited by certain sponges and poriferans because they are irregular in their shape. Radial symmetry exhibited by coelentrates, ctenophorans and adult echinoderms. And bilateral symmetry exhibited by organisms like from Platyhelminthes to chordates. Platyhelminthes to chordates, all of them, they exhibit bilateral symmetry including human beings. So that is about symmetry. Next is after symmetry we will study organisms classified based on the germ layers. 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 So, based on germ layers, organisms have been classified into diploblastic and triploblastic. Di refers to the word two, blast, that is body wall. 2 layers in the body wall, 3 layers in the body wall. Triploblastic, 3 layers in the body wall. Diploblastic, 2 layers in the body wall. Diploblastic. Here, the organisms in their body wall, they consist of 2 layers, that is outer ectoderm and inner endoderm. And in between these 2 layers there is a gelatinous fluid which is called as mesoglia, or it is also called as mesenchyme. See how many terminologies, new terminologies you are learning. You are getting exposed to so many new terminologies. This happens every day in every class. So I am telling you to write down all the terminologies and write the meaning of it in front of it, so that it will be easy for you to recall and represent it in the exams also. So body wall has got 2 layers, outer ectoderm and inner endoderm. In between them there is a gelatinous fluid which is called as the mesoglia or the mesenchyme. So diploblastic body wall can be seen in case of sponges, coelentrates and ctenophorans. So all the organisms coming under the phyla, sponges, coelentrata and ctenophora will show diploblastic body wall, will exhibit diploblastic body wall. Next is triploblastic. So the body wall will contain 3 layers, outer ectoderm, middle mesoderm and inner endoderm. Inner endoderm. 3 layers in their body wall called as triploblastic, diploblastic and triploblastic. So, body wall made up of 2 layers, body wall made up of 3 layers. So, there is mesoglia. Here the mesoglia is completely transformed into another layer of cells which is called as the mesoderm. So, here we have the examples belonging to phylum Platyhelminthes to phylum Chordata. All examples will exhibit triploblastic body wall. All of them will exhibit triploblastic body wall. So, when we learn the salient features of Platyhelminthes, if I tell they are bilaterally symmetrical and triploblastic, I hope you should be able to understand what it is, right. So, diploblastic, triploblastic. Therefore, these classification or what we are learning, the basis of classification is thereby very significant for our study of all these phyla in detail. So, based on the germ layers, animals have been classified into diploblastic and triploblastic. Next is, so we studied the classification based on body organization of the cells, then the second based on the digestive system, based on the circulatory system, based on the symmetry, based on the germ layers, and next we will study the organisms are classified based on their body cavity. So, for this you can also, diploblastic and triploblastic can be easily understood with the help of a diagram also. If you take a section of the body wall, it will exhibit 2 layers. So, this is a layer of cells which exhibits the inner layer of cells called as the endoderm, and this is mesoglia, the layer of mesoglia. So, in tomorrow's video you will have a better diagram. I am writing a very rough figure for today's explanation, and this is once again the so this is your mesoglia, this is your ectoderm, and this is your endoderm. And this is the one which is showing diploblastic. In tomorrow's video you will find a better and a still colored figure. Let me write for you. So, now I hope you understand, this is one layer of cells showing the outer layer of the body wall, and this is the middle layer showing the gelatinous fluid. So, you can put it like this. So, mesoglia or mesenchyme it is called as, and this is another inner layer of cells which is called as the endoderm. So, 2 layers, hence the name diploblastic, exhibited by all the examples from coelentrates and ctenophorans, right. Next is triploblastic. For triploblastic also you can write a figure. So, instead of mesoglia you will be writing another layer of cells, that is it. Another layer of cells. Here this is one layer of cells showing the endoderm, and this is one more layer of cells. Yeah, this is mesoderm, and there is one more layer here which is called as the ectoderm, So this is the ectoderm, this is the mesoderm, and this is the endoderm. So inner endoderm, middle mesoderm, and outer ectoderm. And this type of body wall, if you take a section of the body wall of the animals, so usually it will be circular like this, and you can see 3 layers, 1, 2 and 3 layers. Here 1 layer, 2 layer separated by gelatinous fluid layer which is called as the mesoglia. That is diploblastic, this is triploblastic. And the examples, all animals starting from platyhelminthes to chordates, they exhibit triploblastic type of body wall. So based on the germ layers, the classification is diploblastic, triploblastic, right? So next, coelom, based on the presence of the body cavity, or it is also called as coelom, based on the body cavity or coelom, based on the presence and absence of the body cavity. Where is that body cavity then? The body cavity is present between the alimentary canal and the body wall. The body cavity is present between the body wall and the coelom. Between the body cavity is present between the alimentary canal and the body wall, and that cavity is called as coelom, right? So if the coelom is absent, there is no cavity in between the alimentary canal and the body wall, organisms are referred as acylomates. Animals are referred as acylomates. I have already told, A stands for absence. Here in biology, some terms, they are prefixed by A, then it means coelom is absent. Absence of a coelom, acylomates. So some will have a body cavity, but it is a false body cavity, hence they are called as pseudocoelomates. P is silent, pseudocoelomates we call them as. So they have a coelom, but it is not very perfect, hence called as a false coelom, or they are referred as pseudocoelomates. I will come to the explanation of it. If there is a true coelom, then such organisms are referred as coelomates. Classification is Acylomata, Pseudocoelomata and Coelomata. Organisms belonging to those group, they are called as Acoelomates, Pseudocoelomates and Coelomates. So Acoelomates, they do not have that body cavity. The cavity which is present between the alimentary canal and the body wall is completely absent. So Acoelomates. There is a cavity, but it is not lined by the mesoderm, and the cavity is present in the form of pouches, hence it is called as pseudocoelomates. A clear bifurcated cavity is present between the alimentary canal and the body wall, which is lined by the mesoderm. It is called as coelomates. They are called as coelomates. So, Acylomates, the examples of Acylomates, all examples coming under the phylum Platyhelminthes or Acylomates. Platyhelminthes, flatworms, they are referred as flatworms. They do not have a cavity in between the alimentary canal and the body wall. Examples, all animals coming under the phyla Platyhelminthes or the flatworms. Pseudocoelomates, all examples coming under the phylum Acylomates, or it is also called as roundworms, or it is also called as Nemathelminthes. Nemathelminthes, also called as Nemathelminthes. Why I have asked you to write down all the words is, look at the spellings, they are so confusing. Please write down whatever is written on the board in every class of biology, because the terminologies are very, very important both for your competitive exams and also for your board exams and also for your future studies related with biology. So, Acylomates examples are Platyhelminthes. Pseudocoelomates, the examples are belonging to the phylum Acylomates, roundworms or Nemathelminthes. And coelomates, they have a clear bifurcated body cavity between the body wall and the alimentary canal, and the examples come under the phylum belonging to Annelida to Chordata. Annelida to Chordata. If I write like this, it includes Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata and Hemichordata also. Annelida to Chordata. So, I hope you understand. Here we have written after Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata to Chordata. So, instead of writing all these, I have written Annelida to Chordata. All of them, they possess a coelom. A true coelom it is called as, because it is having a mesodermal lining. So, here if this is the outer body wall and this is the inner body wall, there is no cavity at all in case of Acylomates. In case of Pseudocoelomates, you can write it like this. This is the outer body wall and this is the here the coelom is present in the form of pouches. This is Pseudocoelomata, this is coelomata, and for coelom so this is coelomata. So, in tomorrow's video you will find a better figure of these Acoelomata, coelomata and Pseudocoelomata. So, this is a rough diagram to explain no coelom in between these two layers. There is a pouched coelom or a false coelom is present in between these layers. Here there is a coelom or a body cavity here, which is lined by the mesoderm. So, this is true coelom, this is pseudocoelom and no coelom. So, a better figure in the next video you can find. And today, to sum up what we have studied in this class, first of all we listed all the various phyla of which we are supposed to study under animal kingdom. We have also included protozoa because it supports our classification. So, I have written protozoa also, but it has been already studied under Protista kingdom. So, starting from Porifera to Chordata, we will study in detail with the salient features and examples. So, before going to that, we studied why organisms are classified into different phyla like this, on what basis? Based on certain characteristics. What are those characteristics? The body organization, digestive system, the circulatory system, then the presence and absence of the symmetry, body cavity, and germ layers we have discussed already. In next class we will be discussing the remaining salient features like habitat, notochord, segmentation, then the classification based on the body temperature, based on even the development of the organisms. So, I have told so many new terminologies, try to recall them, write down the spellings also, they are also very important. Write the definitions or write the meaning of it in front of it so that you will be able to understand better. Okay. So, shall we conclude the class? We are concluding this class here by these concepts. Thank you. Thank you one and all.